At its height, Rome ruled over 1/5 of the world's population. Its armies crushed kingdoms, its culture reshaped continents, and its legions marched farther than any before them. Yet, have you ever looked at a map of the Roman Empire and wondered, why did it stop? Why did this unstoppable force, which tamed Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East, suddenly draw its borders and never cross them again? From the deserts of Arabia to the forests of Scotland, from the mountains of Persia to the heart of Africa, vast lands lay unconquered. Lands that could have made Rome even greater. So what made the empire that conquered the world stop expanding? Today, we uncover the reasons why Rome's borders froze and how geography, economics, and ambition define the limits of history's greatest empire. Part 1. The engines of Roman expansion. At the core of Rome's power was expansion. In the early centuries, conquest was Rome's lifeblood. Its economy, politics, and even religion revolved around victory. Generals sought glory and wealth through conquest, while the Senate and people rewarded them with fame, gold, and power. Rome's early expansions focused on one goal: control of the Mediterranean Sea, Mare Nostrum, as they called it, our sea. Every coastline, every island, and every trade route was a step closer to total domination. But as the empire grew, the cost of expansion grew with it. Conquering new lands wasn't just about winning battles, it was about holding them. Garrisoning troops, building roads, feeding populations, and crushing rebellions drained resources faster than victories could replenish them. Eventually, Rome's leaders began to ask a question that haunted every emperor after Augustus. Is the next conquest truly worth it? Part 2. The Eastern Frontier, Persia. The East was the most tempting frontier. Beyond the Euphrates lay Persia, rich, ancient, and powerful. Rome and Persia stood as mirrors of each other, two great empires, two ancient civilizations, both unwilling to bow to the other. But conquering Persia was easier said than done. The Persian cavalry, fast, armored, and deadly, could devastate Roman infantry. The Parthian and later Sasanian horse archers rained arrows even while retreating, turning Roman formations into chaos. And then there was the terrain. The deserts, mountains, and scorching heat of Mesopotamia stretched Rome's supply lines thin. Without water, without forage, no army, not even Rome's, could survive long. Rome tried again and again. Crassus lost his entire army at Carrhae in 53 BC. Trajan briefly conquered Mesopotamia, only for Hadrian to abandon it soon after. Even centuries later, emperors like Valerian and Julian the Apostate tried and failed to break the Persian wall. Why? Because Persia didn't just defend, it endured. Its empires, from Parthia to the Sassanids, could rebuild, rearm, and retaliate faster than Rome could occupy. Ultimately, Rome realized Persia wasn't essential to its dominance. The trade routes were accessible through diplomacy, and the costs of conquest outweighed the rewards. The Persian frontier became a border of pride and pragmatism, a line Rome could threaten, but never truly cross. Part 3. The Southern Frontier, Arabia. To the south lay Arabia, a vast and unforgiving desert. It was a land of scorching winds, endless sand, and rich trade routes that connected Rome to India. But Arabia held little interest for emperors who sought glory. There were no great cities to conquer, no fertile lands to tax, and no rivers to sustain armies. The few attempts Rome made, such as the failed expedition of Aelius Gallus in 26 BC, ended in disaster, starvation, disease, and endless sandstorms. And yet Arabia was not forgotten. Rome didn't need to conquer it, it could profit from it. Through trade, the empire obtained exotic spices, incense, and precious goods. The Nabatean kingdom, centered on Petra, became a client state and later a Roman province, controlling caravan routes without the need for endless war. So Rome stopped there, not because it was weak, but because conquest was unnecessary. The desert was a natural barrier, and trade brought more wealth than bloodshed ever could. Part 4. the northern frontier, Scotland and Germany. If the east was too strong and the south too barren, the north was simply too wild. Beyond the Rhine and the Hadrian's Wall lay lands shrouded in fog and mystery, Germania and Caledonia, modern Scotland. To Rome, they were lands of fierce tribes, dark forests, and endless rain. Rome tried. Caesar crossed into Germania. Augustus sent legions north. For a moment, Rome seemed unstoppable, until 9 AD, when everything changed. In the dense Teutoburg forest, 3 Roman legions, nearly 20,000 men, were ambushed and annihilated by Germanic tribes led by Arminius. The shock was catastrophic. The empire lost its appetite for conquest in the north. Instead, it built walls, literal ones, from the Rhine to the Danube, from Hadrian's Wall to the Antonine Wall. Rome would rather defend than overextend. In Caledonia, Rome faced the same nightmare. The terrain was brutal, mountains, bogs, and guerrilla warfare. Even when victorious, as under Governor Agricola, the legions couldn't hold the territory for long. Later, Emperor Septimius Severus launched a massive invasion, ravaging the highlands. But after his death, his son withdrew. The lesson was clear. These lands weren't worth the blood. They offered little wealth, were hard to govern, and impossible to hold. Part 5, the African frontier beyond the Sahara. To the south, beyond Egypt, lay Africa's great unknown, the kingdoms of Kush, Nubia, and beyond. Rome's conquest of Egypt had given it unimaginable wealth, gold, grain, and the lifeblood of the Nile. But what lay beyond was different. Scorching deserts and powerful local kingdoms that refused to bow. In 24 BC, the kingdom of Kush invaded Egypt. Rome struck back burning towns deep into Sudan, yet could not hold the land. Augustus, exhausted by the campaign, chose peace over conquest. The border was drawn at the first cataract of the Nile, and there it stayed. Later expeditions ventured south for exploration and trade, reaching as far as Lake Chad and the Niger River, but never to conquer. Sub-Saharan Africa was too vast, too harsh, and too distant. Rome gained more by trade than by war, gold, ivory, and exotic beasts for its arenas. The edges of empire. At its height under Trajan in 117 AD, the Roman Empire stretched from Britain to Egypt, from Spain to Syria. It seemed invincible, but every empire, no matter how mighty, meets its limits. Rome didn't stop expanding because it lost its strength. It stopped because it found wisdom. It learned that the world beyond its borders was not always worth conquering, that mountains, deserts, and forests could do what no army could: stop Rome. In the end, Rome's borders weren't signs of weakness, they were lines of endurance. The empire chose not where it could go, but where it should stop. And that decision, perhaps more than any battle, defined its survival for centuries. If you enjoyed this journey through the frontiers of Rome, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Your support helps us uncover more stories of ancient history, where the past still speaks to us today.